mga magulang hindi kailangang pagbayaran ng kanilang mga anak, and that is essentially what DREAM Act is all about. DREAM Act, of course, is the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act na i-explain po sa atin ngayon ni Attorney Richard Lowe sa ating American Dream segment.
This American Dream segment is brought to you by Aquino & Lowe Law Firm, answering your immigration questions.
Attorney Richard Lowe, hello and welcome to Kababayan, LA. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hello.
Let's talk about the DREAM Act. Who will benefit from its passage? But first of all, what is it about?
Well, the DREAM Act is an amendment being proposed to the Defense Authorization Bill next Tuesday, and basically it would allow children who have been in the United States before they turned 16 and who have been here for a while to eventually become permanent residents.
And this is good because sometimes, you know, when we're younger, especially, our parents make the decisions for us. They make a decision to stay here illegally, and we don't know anything about it. And then we grow older, and then after college, we realize we can't even look for a job because we don't have legal authorization to work here, correct?
That's precisely right. And it really is a segment of the population that is completely without fault or blame in being here illegally in the United States. And I think most people in the United States, whether Republican or Democrat, see that this is a big problem, that children are here and they have nothing to do with the reasons why they're here, but they're still being punished.
Unfortunately, this is not all across the board. There are qualifications for the DREAM Act. Who will qualify for the benefits? So what are the requirements, conditions?
Well, as it's being proposed, a person would have had to have entered into the United States prior to age 16. They would have to be here for 5 years prior to enactment. That is, that they would have had to have entered prior to 2005, that they are a graduate of a high school here in the United States or have a GED, or that they are accepted into a college or university. They also have to be between the age of 12 and 35 at the time of application, and have to be a person of good moral character.
Okay, what is, there is a good moral character component. What does that mean?
Well, you know, good moral character just basically means that you can't be a person who has been arrested for certain crimes. You can't have had drug problems or other criminal issues which may find you to be a person not of good moral character. Okay,
does this mean that they're going to be given a green card and it's going to be conditional? They can, after a while, apply for citizenship with it?
Yeah, if you apply initially, if you meet all the initial criteria, you will be given a conditional permanent residency, and that will last for 6 years. During that 6-year time, you are required to either complete 2 years of education in college or university or 2 years of military service. So after 5.5 years, you can then apply for permanent residency.
Okay, so that's after 5.5 years of conditional residency. But how long will the process take to become a permanent resident? How long will the process take in order to get this, if this gets passed?
Well, you know, from start to finish till you're a citizen, it's going to take 11 years or so, and that's a long process that's longer than a lot of the other processes, and it allows the government to make sure that you are a person of good moral character and you have fulfilled the obligations that are required to become a permanent resident. So it's not a quick process, but it will initially give you the ability to stay in the United States as a conditional resident and work and live and go to school and serve in our military, as so many immigrants want to and do.
And this sounds like a great act of support for our kababayans. A lot of us have this same problem, but what is the likelihood of this bill being passed?
Well, I think it's had bipartisan support in the past. There were some 10 or so senators, Republican senators, that had agreed on its passage back in 2007. And McCain being one of them. So it remains to be seen how many Republicans in this election cycle are going to be stepping up to support the DREAM Act. But I think there's a good chance that it will have pass on Tuesday.
Okay, and because this is important to us, is there anything that we can do, our viewers can do, in order to help pass this bill?
Well, of course, as we always say, you have to be an advocate for your community, and you have to call your senators. You have to let them know that you support this act, that you support their voting in favor of this act, and You can also write letters to other senators that aren't in your area and let them know that you support it. And, providing your details, your stories is also very helpful to give a real face to this kind of problem.
And I know that if this bill gets passed, hopefully it does on Tuesday, your law office is going to be there to help also some of our Kababayans who might need help with documentation, with paperwork in order to file for this, right?
That's absolutely correct. We're always trying to stay in front of these kinds of acts so that we can be prepared to go forward immediately when they come into law, and we would be happy to help anybody who has any questions with this situation. All
right. Thank you so much for clarifying this with us this afternoon. We'll all pray for the passage of this bill on Tuesday. More power to you, Attorney Richard Lowe.
Thank you.
That was Attorney Richard Lowe, the law office of Aquino and Lowe. They do give free office consultation. We were flashing the number on the earlier. Make sure you schedule your appointment now. When we return on the show, let's talk about the Deaf Festival. What is that? Well, you'll find out when we return. Don't go away.
Mark left DSL for Time Warner Cable's high-speed internet and got a $50 gift